The scariest breakup isn't the one you fight about. It's the one you don't see coming. The one where she still says, I love you, but her actions whisper the opposite. The one where she's sitting right next to you, but her heart is already somewhere else. If you've ever felt that quiet distance, that invisible wall, you know how suffocating it feels. But here's the secret. Before she leaves, she gives off signals, 7 of them. And if you can recognize these subtle signs, you won't just protect yourself from heartbreak. You'll finally understand what's really happening behind her silence. Here's the hardest truth. The breakup doesn't start when she leaves. It starts long before, in moments so small, you barely notice. That's why most men feel blindsided. Don't let that be you. Subscribe now, hit like, and comment if you'd rather face the truth than live in denial. Because what I'm about to show you in the very first sign is something most men miss. Number 1, the chemistry fades. Every strong relationship begins with an undeniable spark. You remember those first weeks? Her eyes lit up every time she saw you. Every message you sent made her smile. And just the thought of being together was enough to fuel endless conversations. That spark is what men often mistake for permanence, believing that once you have it, it will never disappear. But here's the truth. When a woman wants out, the first thing you'll notice is the slow death of that chemistry. It won't happen overnight. At first, you'll sense a subtle shift. Maybe she no longer laughs at your jokes the way she used to. Maybe her excitement when you suggest plans together has been replaced by hesitation, a faint sigh, or a neutral. We'll see. Her eyes don't search for yours in the same way, and the warmth that used to be automatic now feels forced or worse, absent. From a psychological perspective, it's normal for the dopamine rush of early romance to fade with time. But here's the key distinction. Healthy couples find ways to reignite that connection. They create new shared experiences, find joy in rediscovery, and rebuild intimacy when life gets in the way. A woman who has already checked out emotionally doesn't fight for that spark. She lets it die. That indifference is the signal you can't ignore. Think about the little things. In the past, she would text you first thing in the morning just to say good luck on a meeting. She would light up when you surprised her with coffee or grab your hand in public without hesitation. Now those gestures are gone. The conversations are shorter. Her replies arrive hours later, stripped of emotion. Sometimes nothing more than a single word. And when you make romantic gestures, flowers, dinner, a thoughtful note, she responds with silence, or worse, irritation. Here's what most men do wrong. They start begging for the spark to return. They overcompensate, pouring more energy into gifts, compliments, and desperate attempts at closeness. But that only widens the gap because desperation never rekindles attraction. What you need to do instead is step back and observe. Give it 2 weeks. Watch her behavior carefully without trying to fix it through force. If every effort to reconnect is met with indifference, it's no longer about chemistry fading naturally. It's about her choosing to distance herself from you. And when she chooses that path, you need the courage to face reality, not cling to an illusion. Number 2, physical intimacy vanishes. Intimacy isn't just about physical touch. It's the unspoken language of closeness, safety, and emotional connection. When a woman is still invested in the relationship, she naturally seeks ways to be close. A kiss when you walk in the door, leaning against you while watching TV, resting her hand on yours during dinner. These small physical gestures are her way of saying, I still feel safe with you. I still choose you. But when she's moving toward a breakup, these moments of closeness begin to disappear. At first, it may seem subtle. She turns her head when you try to kiss her, claims she's too tired for intimacy, or stiffens slightly when you touch her shoulder. Soon, what was once natural becomes awkward. The hugs feel forced. The kisses are quick and obligatory, if they happen at all. The space between you and bed at night grows wider until the silence becomes louder than words. From a psychological perspective, physical intimacy is one of the clearest reflections of emotional safety. When that emotional bond erodes, the body follows. Women rarely separate the physical from the emotional. If she withdraws from your touch, it's not about exhaustion or mood swings. It's a sign she no longer feels the bond that once made intimacy effortless. You've probably noticed it in everyday scenarios. You reach for her hand in the car and she pulls away under the excuse of needing both hands free. You try to cuddle during a movie and she shifts uncomfortably. The good night kiss that used to seal the day disappears completely. These aren't random changes. They're deliberate signals of distance. Most men misinterpret this stage. They think persistence will solve it. They try harder, pushing for intimacy, demanding explanations. Or worse, using guilt as leverage. That approach always backfires because the more you try to force closeness, the more suffocating it feels to her and the faster she withdraws. The correct move is different. Instead of pressing harder, pause and reflect. Ask yourself honestly, what energy am I bringing that makes her pull away? Is it neediness? Is it resentment? Or is it simply that she's already detached and nothing you do will shift her course? If the physical connection has vanished for weeks and every attempt to reignite it is met with rejection, it's not about temporary stress or fatigue. It's about her preparing herself for life without you and recognizing that truth might be painful, but it gives you back the one thing you can control, your dignity. Number 3, shared routines disappear. Every couple has rituals that give the relationship a rhythm. Morning coffee together, Sunday grocery runs, evening walks around the neighborhood. These little routines may seem trivial, but in truth, they're the threads that hold intimacy together. They create a sense of us, a private world that belongs only to the two of you. When a woman begins to pull away, these routines are the first thing she abandons. Suddenly, the coffee pot is half empty because she already had breakfast alone. She's too busy to join the gym session you used to share. Those weekly errands become solo trips or worse, outings with friends that don't include you. What was once a predictable anchor in your relationship now feels like sand slipping through your fingers. Psychologically, this shift matters. Human beings bond through repetition. The brain interprets shared routines as signs of stability and belonging. When she deliberately breaks those patterns, she's doing more than changing habits. She's signaling a withdrawal of partnership, redefining herself as an individual rather than part of a team. It's not about a missed dinner. It's about dismantling the identity of we in order to prepare for me. Think back. You might recall how she used to look forward to cooking dinner together, turning it into a fun, messy ritual that always ended with laughter. Now she eats before you get home. Or maybe the gym was once your shared commitment, motivating each other through tough workouts. Suddenly, she's finding excuses not to go. Or worse, she joins a class with new people you've never met. Each broken routine is more than a scheduling change. It's a quiet declaration that the bond is no longer a priority. Here's the mistake most men make. They chase after the routine itself. They beg her to come along. They guilt her for skipping. They pressure her to return to the way things used to be. But forcing routines won't restore connection. It only highlights the fact that she doesn't want them anymore. The smarter approach is to recognize the deeper meaning. If she's consistently replacing shared rituals with solo activities or time with others, it's a red flag. Don't ignore it. Don't excuse it as just stress or just a busy season. If you're the only one fighting to keep traditions alive, the relationship is no longer balanced. And balance is the foundation of partnership. Number 4, emotional withdrawal. A relationship doesn't end the day she leaves. It ends the day she stops showing up emotionally, long before the breakup becomes official. You'll notice it in the silence, in the way her eyes drift past you instead of locking onto yours, in the excuses that keep her away from moments that used to matter. She'll tell you she has to stay late at work. She'll choose to meet friends instead of coming home for dinner. Family obligations suddenly multiply. On the surface, these reasons sound valid, but deep down, something's changed. What she's really doing is avoiding intimacy. Not just physical closeness, but emotional presence. It's not just busyness. It's her way of rehearsing life without you, one excuse at a time. When someone feels trapped or unhappy in a relationship, but doesn't want confrontation, they create distance instead. For women, this often looks like filling their schedules, so there's no time left for you. It's easier for her to claim she's too busy than to face the conversation she's already rehearsing in her head. Picture this. You suggest a quiet evening together, a movie, a homemade meal, something simple. Instead of welcoming it, she hesitates or brushes it off. I already ate with my colleagues. I'm too tired. Maybe another night. The rejection isn't explosive. It's subtle. And that's what makes it so dangerous, because you can't fight what isn't openly acknowledged. Many men ignore this sign because it feels less obvious than an argument. They tell themselves she's stressed, that work is overwhelming, that it's just a phase. But ask yourself, when was the last time she truly wanted to spend quality time with you? When was the last time she reached for you first? If you can't remember, you already have your answer. Here's the trap. Confronting her aggressively about the distance only pushes her further away. She'll retreat even faster, using your anger as justification for the withdrawal. That's why the right move isn't to interrogate, but to observe. Notice the patterns. Notice how the house feels quieter, how the laughter has vanished, how even sitting on the same couch feels like sitting oceans apart. Emotional withdrawal is the stage where she's already rehearsing life without you. Her body is still in the room, but her heart has started to leave. And when that happens, the question isn't whether she's busy, it's whether she's still invested. If the answer feels like no, then you have to face the reality. The relationship may already be over in her mind. Number 5, communication breaks down. Every healthy relationship thrives on conversation. Not just the logistics of daily life, but the deeper exchanges that build trust and intimacy. When she cared, she wanted to hear every detail about your day, your thoughts, your worries, even the random things that made you laugh. That was her way of saying, I want to be inside your world. But when a woman is preparing to leave, her words begin to vanish. At first, it's subtle. Her texts get shorter, replies arrive later. Instead of thoughtful responses, you get okay, fine, or nothing at all. Over time, this silence seeps into real life. At dinner, she's on her phone more than she's listening. When you share something important, her eyes glaze over as if your words bounce off an invisible wall. What was once a conversation now feels like a monologue. Psychologically, this is one of the clearest indicators of detachment. Communication isn't just about exchanging information, it's about emotional validation. When she stops asking questions, stops engaging, and stops showing curiosity about your inner life, it's because she no longer sees herself as part of your future. It's not silence for peace. It's silence that speaks louder than words, signaling that in her mind, the fight is already over. Think about it. You used to talk late into the night about dreams, fears, and future plans. Now those talks are gone. When you ask how her day went, she answers in one sentence. When you try to open up about your struggles, she changes the subject. Or worse, she acts like your vulnerability is an inconvenience. That's not distraction. That's disconnection. Here's where most men fail. They notice the silence and try to fill it with more words, more questions, more calls, more pressure for her to open up. But you can't drag someone into a conversation they no longer want to have. That only creates more resistance, confirming to her that she's right to shut down. The smarter move is awareness. Pay attention to whether she still invests in dialogue. Does she initiate conversations? Does she listen without distraction? Does she challenge you, laugh with you, comfort you? If not, the relationship is already losing its foundation. Because once communication breaks down, love has no oxygen left to survive. And the hardest truth is this: silence often speaks louder than any argument. When she stops talking, it's not peace. It's the sound of her leaving without saying a word. Number 6, social circles shift. A strong relationship weaves two lives together. Friends become shared friends, families blend. And social gatherings often feel like a team effort. That doesn't mean you spend every moment side by side, but there's a clear sense that you belong in each other's worlds. When a woman begins pulling away, that integration starts to unravel. At first, you might notice she spends more nights out with her friends. Nothing unusual there. Everyone needs time apart. But then it becomes a pattern. She's going out more frequently with people you've never met. She stops inviting you along, or when she does, it feels like an afterthought rather than a genuine desire to share her life. Suddenly, you're not part of the new story she's creating. From a psychological standpoint, this is a powerful signal. Humans build identity through community. When she starts investing heavily in social circles that exclude you, she's rehearsing for independence. It's her way of constructing a new support system, a safety net for the life she's planning beyond the relationship. She might not say it directly, but every hour spent in that new circle is an hour away from building with you. Picture it. She posts photos online, group dinners, concerts, weekend trips. You're not in them. You don't even know the names of half the people she's smiling with. The life she's broadcasting doesn't feature you, and deep down, you feel the sting. That's not just insecurity talking. It's a sign that you've been quietly written out of the narrative. Many men make the mistake of dismissing this shift. They tell themselves, she just needs space. Or she's making new friends. That's healthy. While both can be true, the pattern is what matters. If she once brought you into her world, but now builds an entirely separate one without you, that's not independence, that's detachment. Most men try to chase her social life, but that only pushes her further. What works is clarity, seeing if she actually wants you in that world. If she's building a life where you don't fit, it's not about trust or freedom. It's about her creating distance. Relationships don't die in isolation. They die when your partner builds a life that thrives without you. And when her social circles shift away, it's not just about new friends. It's about a new identity, one that no longer includes you. Number 7, special dates lose meaning. Every relationship is marked by milestones, anniversaries, birthdays, the day you first met, the little traditions only the two of you celebrate. These dates are more than numbers on a calendar. They're reminders that your bond matters, that the time you've invested together is worth honoring. When a woman is fully invested, she doesn't just remember these days. She cherishes them, sometimes even more than you do. But when she's mentally stepping out of the relationship, those special dates start to lose all significance. The anniversary dinner that once filled her with excitement becomes just another evening. Her effort in planning celebrations shrinks to the bare minimum or disappears altogether. Birthdays are reduced to generic gestures, stripped of the personal touches that once made them meaningful. And sometimes she forgets them entirely. This shift speaks volumes. Psychologically, people highlight what they value by ritualizing it. Celebrating milestones is how we say this relationship matters enough to mark in time. When she stops caring about these moments, it isn't forgetfulness. It's detachment. She no longer sees the relationship as a future worth investing in. So why celebrate its past? Think about it. Last year, she spent weeks planning your birthday, choosing the perfect gift and writing a heartfelt note. This year, you get a casual text or nothing at all. Or maybe you've always gone out to dinner on your anniversary, but suddenly she's too busy or claims she forgot. These aren't accidents, they're choices. Choices that reveal where her heart no longer lies. Most men overlook this sign because they don't want to appear petty. They convince themselves it's not a big deal, that dates are just symbolic. But symbols are powerful. They represent commitment, memory, and intention. When those symbols disappear, so does the commitment behind them. You might feel tempted to demand attention, but that won't bring back the meaning. The truth is, when milestones vanish, so does her intention to build a future with you. So ask yourself, if she can't be bothered to honor the milestones that define your story, what does that say about the story itself? When special dates lose meaning, it's a final warning shot. She's not just forgetting the past, she's signaling that she doesn't see a future. And once that belief settles in, the relationship is already living on borrowed time. The 7 signs you've just heard are not random quirks. They are psychological signals, subtle, consistent, and deliberate. When a woman begins to step away, she rarely announces it outright. Instead, she pulls back piece by piece until the man standing beside her finally realizes he's been left behind. If you recognize 3 or more of these signs in your own relationship, don't lie to yourself. This is not about paranoia. It's about awareness. Pretending nothing is wrong won't save what's already slipping away. And begging for love to return will only accelerate its exit. Here's the truth. Most men refuse to face. A woman who's checked out emotionally is no longer fighting for the relationship. And if she's not fighting, then you are battling alone. That's not partnership. That's self-destruction. But awareness is power. When you recognize the signs early, you regain control. You can decide whether the relationship is worth confronting directly with honesty, boundaries, and clarity, or whether it's time to preserve your dignity and walk away. Either choice requires strength, but the worst choice is denial, because denial keeps you chained to a future that no longer exists. It hurts to admit when someone no longer values the connection you built, But what hurts more is wasting years in a one-sided relationship, convincing yourself that her silence, her absence, her indifference are temporary. They're not. They're signals. And those signals are telling you something you need to hear, even if you don't want to. So let this be your wake-up call. Stop measuring your worth by her attention. Stop clinging to a spark that only you are trying to keep alive. Your value doesn't vanish just because she no longer sees it. And your future is not defined by someone who's already walking out of your present. If this message opened your eyes, hit subscribe. Because the more you understand women's psychology, the less powerless you'll ever feel in love again. Share this with a friend who needs the truth, and tell me in the comments which of these 7 signs hit you the hardest.